What is up guys, Untitled here now I'm back with a special audio video for you today. As the title says, fantasy booking Wrestlemania 37's Night 1 and Night 2, because last week WWE confirmed that yes, they're going to do the 2-night Wrestlemania concept again this year, which they debuted last year. And for me that's just great. As a fan, I'd much rather see 2 3-hour pay-per-views rather than just one big giant long pay-per-view. So, and hopefully this could be the way going forward potentially. I would say, obviously next year if they have fans back, or like a full stadium of fans back, they probably won't, but let's just see how it goes. So then I got thinking, how would I book these 2 shows? That could be an interesting video, couldn't it? And so yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the 2-night concept, book 2 WrestleMania cards, and just have a little bit of fun with it, see what you guys think. And just bear in mind one thing, just try not to take this too seriously, this whole fantasy booting thing's just for entertainment purposes only. It's just supposed to be a little bit of fun. And I'm going to do with people that are obviously going to be on the card, so I'm not going to have The Rock this year, because guess what? The Rock ain't going to work this WrestleMania. I'm also a controversial, not going to have Becky Lynch on this show, because I'm thinking, since she's only just give birth last month, she's probably not quite ready to come back for a match yet. And I would say something like SummerSlam's probably more of a likely scenario for her to come back there. And I've also not picked Ronda Rousey for this show because I just don't think she's coming back. I mean, she's been gone for nearly 2 years now, and there's been no rumours or indication that she's even interested in returning. So I just kind of get the feeling she's going to have done that year from 18 to 19, and we might not even see Ronda Rousey in a WWE ring ever again. So I'm not going to pick those people, and what I've done is I've got 2 8-match cards with 1 pre-show match for each night. And I've tried to structure it to have like a fairly equal card of fairly equal quality. So let's just go through it. So we're going to start off night 1, and we're going to kick off with the pre-show, and we're going to have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, because, well, why not? I mean, yeah, just for that reason, why not? I couldn't really think anything good for the pre-show, so they might as well just do the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Since it would be the only pre-show match of the night, why the hell not? And I'm going to go for 20 participants, and I'm going to go for the participants being, and obviously as you'll see this, you'll get an idea of who won't be on the main WrestleMania card. So we got The Miz, John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods representing New Day, Elias, Mustafa Ali representing Retribution, Jackson Riker, Omos, R-Truth, MVP, Jey Uso, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits, Kalisto, Otis, Chad Gable, Murphy. Then I've got for 3 NXT guys to round the field up. I've got Karrion Kross, Johnny Gargano, and I've gone for Mansoor, because they usually put a random NXT person in these battle royals, and Mansoor had won the Saudi battle royal a couple of years ago, so why not? I mean, there's no real thought into this one really, is there? It's just an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it'll be what it is. And as far as a winner, I'm going to go for Karrion Kross to win it, because I feel like I can see him going up to the main roster after this, and then I just feel like this guy could be a star in the main roster. I think you could bring him up. I think he'd be on a high card position on either Raw or Smackdown, and we can lastly eliminate Otis, because why not? So Karrion Kross to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Then WrestleMania is going to kick off properly with a match for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. The champions Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode facing the team of Rey and Dominic Mysterio. So Ziggler and Roode are the current Smackdown Tag Team Champions, and that's okay, I guess. I mean, that isn't really a big deal to me at all. I mean, I'm not that bothered about it. I mean, I think Ziggler and Roode are alright as a tag team, not outstanding by any means, but they do a good enough job. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to keep the tag belts on them going into WrestleMania, and their opponents, Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Now, is it me, or is Dominic Mysterio just completely lost all his momentum? I mean, he came in, had the feud of Seth Rollins, had a show-stealing performance against Rollins at SummerSlam, then pretty much after Rollins has Rollins went away, and him and Ray have gone to SmackDown. What have they done? And now they're feuding with King Corbin in real life, and just kind of feel like a feud with Baron Corbin's just kind of like the kiss of death. I think most of Baron Corbin's feuds are terrible, and I just can't see this one being any better. So what I'm going to do is going to go for what WWE should go with. I mean, this is going to be the end game of Dominic coming in as a wrestler, right? Becoming a full-time tag team with his dad and being a father and son tag team champions. I mean, that's got to be how this is going to go, right? So what you could do, you could have I know they've done this before, but I feel like you could do it again. Rey Mysterio talking about how he's been 30 plus years in the business. He's done a lot. He's done everything he's ever wanted to do. He's had a lot of injuries, and it's a time for him to retire. So kind of tease that Rey Mysterio's going to pack it in and retire, and then Dominic come out and then talk him out and say, "Dad, what are you doing? I'm a WWE superstar now. Why don't we live out our dream? Be my tag team partner. Let's become a full-time tag team. Let's do what we've always wanted to do. Become a father and son tag team champions." And then Rhea accepts Dominic's proposal. Then they become a tag team for a little while. And then what he can do, as they've had a few matches, Rey Mysterio says he's got a big surprise for his son. He said he wasn't going to do this till he's ready, but he wants him to carry on the family tradition. Pulls out a mask similar to his, and he goes, "Dominic, son, I don't want you to be Dominic Mysterio. I want you to be Prince Mysterio." So I think that's a name Dominic's toyed with. So then Rey Mysterio can put the mask on Dominic, and then Dominic can be in a similar mask to Rey Mysterio, but call himself Prince Mysterio. Then that can be their name going forward, and it could be basically that. The Mysterios can get some momentum, win a few matches, get into a feud with Ziggler and Rude, and to the point where we have a match for WrestleMania. And that's what it's going to open up this show. I imagine this will be a pretty damn good opener, in fairness. Just have a nice tag team formula match, have Dominic work most of the match, and then have Mysterio come for the hot tag and all that. And then for the finish, you can have both Ziggler and Rude draping the ropes. Then you can get double 619s. Rey Mysterio can go to the top rope, hit Eddie Guerrero's frog splash. Dominic from the other side, hit a frog splash on the other guy. 1, 2, 3, and you can kick off WrestleMania with a title change. Rey and Dominic Mysterio becoming the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And just from there on, just become a regular tag team for a while. I think that would do both Rey and Dominic the world of good, to be honest. And then match number 2, we're going to have another title match, but this time it's going to be on the Raw side of things for the United States Championship. Sheamus challenging Bobby Lashley. I mean, this could be a pretty damn good hoss fight. And obviously, as you can see by this, I'm just going to keep the title on Bobby Lashley going to WrestleMania, because I think he's doing well as champion. I don't think he's doing outstanding, but I think he's having a pretty solid run as champion, and I just don't really see the need to take it off him right now. And then obviously you can do the thing with this is going to potential spoiler, but this is going to go later on to the night where Sheamus and Drew McIntyre are friends. Then because we're going to have like McIntyre encourage Sheamus. Sheamus is going to go after the United States title. Then they're going to say, us guys that came up to the British scene together all those years ago, we wanted to change the business. And now we're going to close out WrestleMania. I'm going to be the WWE champion. You're going to be the United States champion. And just build it around that, really. Then you can have like maybe a nice 8 to 10 minute match where they beat the shit out of each other, do some cool looking moves. But then ultimately Sheamus is going to fall short. Bobby Lashley's going to slap the full Nelson on. Sheamus is going to fight out gallantly, but he's going to be forced to tap out. And then Bobby Lashley's going to retain the title. And then the post-match, what we're going to do is basically have a big, long, lingering look at Sheamus' disappointed face. We're really going to sell the fact on that Sheamus is gutted. He was supposed to win the US title on this night, but this didn't happen. And you can kind of see where this is going. And now, match number 3. This one's going to be filler, but why the hell not? It's going to be Damien Priest taking on King Corbin. But I think it's inevitable Damien Priest is coming up to the main roster soon. In fact, there was a rumour that he was supposed to come up a few weeks ago, an angle with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, and then that got nixed at last minute. But I think any time now, Damien Priest is probably going to go to the main roster, and as they put him on SmackDown, that'd be pretty good. I think he's got a chance of getting over because he's got the size, he's got the look, He's got the athletic ability, so I think he's got a chance of getting over on the main roster, and more importantly, getting over with Vince and hopefully getting a decent chance out there. So it's just a simple one, really. There's no really big storyline behind this. Gets into a little rivalry with King Corbin and all that, and then we're going to get this match. Now, would this be that good of a match? Probably not, but I think this is basically just going to be a filler match. You can maybe get about 7-8 minutes out of this one, and have Damien Priest go over clean, defeat Corbin strong to make him look strong, get a win over Corbin at WrestleMania. Now, match number 4, and this is a match that I would personally like to see, but I don't think a lot of people might, and that's Goldberg taking on Matt Riddle. Now, it's one of those things like, I'm just resigned to the fact that we're going to get Goldberg matches for the next few years. I mean, I don't really want to see them, but if Vince wants Goldberg to wrestle 2 or 3 times a year, that's what we're going to get, and you can either just complain about it or just get on with it. And I'm choosing just to get on with it. I mean, you know, does me complaining online really change anything? No. So if they are doing that, then I'm thinking, how would I like to make the best of this? And I think, so if Goldberg has to wrestle, and obviously according to Vince he does, Vince wants him to do that, and let's face it, we could all not want Goldberg to wrestle all we want, but if Vince McMahon wants it, guess what? That's what's going to happen, because Vince owns this damn shit, and Vince does whatever the hell he wants. So how do you make the best of that? And I think the one match I would want to see Goldberg have, if I have to, is with Matt Riddle, because let's face it, the whole Goldberg-Riddle little feud it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious when Matt Riddle just goes out his way to troll Goldberg and just wind him up, and I think it's brilliant, because I think deep down Goldberg's like wants to rage and just beat Matt Riddle up, but then he's realising, well, this guy's 20 years younger than me, he's been a UFC fighter, the good chance I would get my ass kicked if I try to fight with Matt Riddle. And I think Matt Riddle knows that as well. I think Matt Riddle knows that he can more likely beat up Goldberg if he tries. And that's what I like about Matt Riddle. I think he just got the arrogance, the confidence and all that, and just the coolness factor. And I just feel he's a guy that he just needs the right match and the right push, really, to get over as a star in WWE. I think he's got the opportunity to do that. I think so far in the main roster he hasn't really been booked bad or anything. I mean, I don't think they've really done anything outstanding with him, but I've never thought he's looked all that bad on the main roster so far. So maybe 2021 is going to be a big year for him. I hope so anyway. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So how would I start this feud? It's basically going to revolve around the Royal Rumble, because as you know, the match is going to be Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. And I'll probably talk more about this, because later on today I am planning to do a Royal Rumble 2021 previews / predictions audio video. So for that one, we're going to have the match. Goldberg's going to lose to Drew McIntyre in my fantasy booking. And then the feud's going to start at the Royal Rumble, where Goldberg's backstage looking disappointed with himself. And just a very brief segment of Matt Riddle just laughing at Goldberg and winding him up and then walking away. Then a long look at Goldberg looking pissed off. Then over the next couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, you can have Matt Riddle, or maybe a month or so, have Matt Riddle do promos and have little jabs at Goldberg and all that. Just little tiny subtle digs at him and all that. Then you can let Riddle continue what he's doing on social media by winding Goldberg up on there. And then Goldberg finally comes out and he goes, right, that's it, I've had enough, I've taken all this crap I'm going to take. Matt Riddle, you want Goldberg, you're next. So Goldberg finally snaps, tell Riddle he's a disrespectful little shit. Well, he's not going to say a little shit because it's a TV PG show, but you know what I mean. He's going to talk about Matt Riddle's disrespectful and all that, he doesn't respect people, and now Goldberg's going to teach him a lesson. And yeah, that's it really. So it's going to be storyline based around what's been going on in real life, and I think this will be a nice novelty attraction match, because I think one of the big things you've done with Goldberg, I think having him wrestle bigger guys is a mistake, because for obvious reasons, when you're in your 50s, you're not going to be as strong and powerful as you were when you're in your 30s and that. And you know, obviously what Goldberg's most renowned for is impact power moves, and if he can't do a lot of his power moves on his opponents, what's the point type thing? I mean, so he can't really press slam the bigger guys anymore. He even struggles to jackhammer some of them. So if you take that, all he's really got is a spear. So I think if Goldberg does wrestle going forward, he's got to wrestle younger, smaller guys that can bump around a lot and make him look great and bring out the best of him, and guys that can throw around and stuff like that. And this is going to be that novelty 5-minute, 6-minute match where Matt Riddle hit a few moves. You can even have him dominate the first part of the match, and then Goldberg makes his big comeback, hits his big moves. And for the winner, I'm actually going to go for Goldberg to go over, because I think it would make sense for Goldberg to shut Matt Riddle up. And just being realistic about this, I mean, I think the reality is Goldberg's not going to lose all of his matches. That just doesn't make sense to have him lose every single time. So I think if you're keeping Goldberg around on a part-time basis for the next couple of years, he has to win some matches, and I feel like this will be absolutely fine, Goldberg going over Riddle. I don't think there'll be really a big problem with that at all. I mean, I'm sure people online will complain about it, but it is what it is. So I'm going for Goldberg to go over. Now, match number 5. We're going back to Smackdown for this one, and this one could be quite interesting. Kevin Owens taking on Sami Zayn. So I'm thinking after the feud of Roman Reigns ends, what can Kevin Owens really do on SmackDown? I mean, because I know Seth Rollins is coming back, but they did that feud last year. Then you look at the heel side on SmackDown, and it ain't that strong right now, to be honest, really. Especially on the male side of things. It's just not that great at all. So yeah, what do? Do you bring someone in from Raw? But then I'm looking at the roster, and there is a heel on SmackDown. And it's a heel that Kevin Owens knows extremely well, and that's Sami Zayn. And you know what, to me, I think Sami Zayn's doing awesome stuff right now. I feel like he's just so great at being that annoying, irritating little shit. And this whole, the whole campaign, there's a conspiracy against him, that's just brilliant. And the thing he did on SmackDown last week, where he basically protested and handcuffed himself to the railing and all that sort of stuff. It's just brilliant stuff, it really is. I mean, yeah, I know some of Sami Zayn's classic babyface stuff was awesome, but I think it's just his character work right now is so good. And I just know if he turned back face, WWE wouldn't have a clue what to do with him. But with him being this obnoxious little heel, I mean, as far as males, he's probably the number 2 heel on the SmackDown roster right now, behind Roman Reigns. And I think I love the fact that he's so, like, Reigns is just so serious and badass and all that, and Sami Zayn's going the complete opposite way. He's not afraid to make himself look like a loser, and that's just great with me. I mean, he's just looking like a complete little weasel and all that, and it's so funny. I mean, I'm really into Sami Zayn's heel run right now, and I think they can probably get quite a bit mileage out of this. Then who knows, maybe later in his career he can turn back face and all that stuff. So this is going to really going to start with guess Kevin Owens talking to Sami Zayn, going, you know what, Sami, you're my best friend, we grew up in this business together, that'll never change, but I just want to know one little thing. When did my best friend turn into a whiny, complaining little bitch? And then that one comment could set off them feuding again. I mean, what? Because they haven't wrestled for quite a while, and the big matches that they did have was with Kevin Owens as a heel and Sami as a babyface. So, given the fact it's been a few years since they've had a feud, and then now that the roles are reversed with Kevin as a babyface and Sami as a heel, this feud all of a sudden could seem fresh again. And yeah, I think this would be a great match to do at WrestleMania, because I feel like I still think they should have had the match at WrestleMania 32 for the Intercontinental title. Personally, I think if you remember originally, before the match got changed to Bryan and Shane, it was announced as Kevin versus Sami at WrestleMania 34, but obviously that was never actually going to happen. It was just for storyline purposes for them to attack Shane and then Daniel Bryan to get clean and all that. And yeah, so they haven't had they've wrestled all over in Ring of Honor, PWG, NXT, WWE pay-per-views, but the ultimate stage is WrestleMania, and that would be pretty awesome for them to go from wrestling in Montreal in front of like, I don't know, 50 people to headline a big Ring of Honor shows, and then the ultimate, having a match at WrestleMania. I think this would be a great gem on the card. So Kevin and Sami, just let them do the thing. I'm sure if they get enough time, they could have a really great match. And for me, Kevin Owens can defeat Sami Zayn, because I just feel like, I think Sami Zayn is a guy that can lose all the time, but he can keep his heat because he's so good on the microphone and his character's so hilarious. I think Sami Zayn could lose every night, and then he could just cut a promo the next week and stay over. So I think, and then obviously Kevin Owens give him a big win at WrestleMania. And then we got 3 more matches to go for night 1. We're going to go for match number 6 for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka defending against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. That's right. So originally I was thinking of doing Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, and ultimately I think that is what the match is going to be in real life, but I'm not that interested in that match. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it'll be a great match, but I think we've had quite the fill of Charlotte versus Asuka over the past couple of years, and of course they famously had the match at WrestleMania 34 where Charlotte ended Asuka's streak and all that, and they've had a was it the build to WrestleMania 35 where Charlotte took the Smackdown Women's title off Asuka, and I think they've had a few TV matches since then, and as of right now, of course, they are the the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and then I look at the Raw roster, thinking there's not really anyone else for Asuka to face. I mean, you could push Alexa Bliss to that, but I'm thinking, who could come up and really make a splash on the main roster? And the obvious choice was Rhea Ripley. And I thought, okay, we'll do Charlotte and Asuka, but we'll add Rhea Ripley in there as well, because Rhea Ripley has history with Charlotte, of course, from WrestleMania last year when she lost the NXT women's title to Charlotte in WrestleMania Night 2. So it's going to be basically that. So for the purposes of this, and I think this is probably going to happen in real life as well too, we're going to have Charlotte and Asuka drop the title back to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at the Royal Rumble, and then we're going to have a little feud between Charlotte and Asuka. They could have a women's elimination chamber match on the elimination chamber pay-per-view. It could come down to Charlotte and Asuka, and then Asuka can squeak out the victory, and then Rhea Ripley could make a debut on the main roster on the night after the elimination chamber, attacking Charlotte Flair, declaring her intentions to go after Asuka. Then you could build it, because now obviously it's going to be confirmed as Fastlane as well. So Fastlane could be Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Looks like Rhea Ripley's in control, and then Charlotte Flair costs Rhea Ripley the match. And then the next night you're going to have Charlotte versus Rhea for the number 1 contenders of WrestleMania. That can end in a big schmoz, and that could lead to this match, a 3-way dance for the Raw Women's title. I think this could be a potential show stealer. In fairness, I think if this match happened in real life, I really do think that this could be cool as shit, this match, to be honest with you. And then we're going to go down to the wire. Then we're going to have Rhea Ripley hit the Riptide on Charlotte Flair, and then she's going to pin Charlotte to become the Raw Women's Champion. So, in a sense, 1, to get a win back from last year at WrestleMania, and then for number 2, so Asuka doesn't get pinned, so Rhea Ripley and Asuka couldn't be the post-WrestleMania feud. And then I would probably build to a big match between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte at SummerSlam 2021. And then obviously we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so I'm going to Rhea Ripley go over. Then match number 7 for the WWE Championship. Now this was the hardest one the Raw main event scene was the hardest one to pick, because there's not a lot of great options, but I've gone for Drew McIntyre to defend the WWE Championship against Braun Strowman. Now, originally I had 2 ideas. First, it was to do Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar 2, and I think that's a match we're going to get in real life, but thinking about it, I don't really want to see that match, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd much rather see Brock wrestling in an attraction match with someone else. And then I had the idea of doing a Drew versus The Fiend, but then I thought of another idea for The Fiend. Then I thought, well, why not Braun Strowman? I mean, Braun's injured at the moment, but I think he's probably going to be back soon. And I think they were teasing this match for TLC, weren't they? But I think Braun got injured and AJ Styles took that spot. And for me, it's like, why not? I think when Braun Strowman comes back, you pretty much re-establish him as that killer monster heel. He can just go on this insane runway. He just destroys everybody. I mean, go back to what made Braun Strowman popular in the first place. Just have Braun Strowman do Braun Strowman things and just wreck and destroy everything. Then getting to the point where now he's intended to face Drew and try to build this as, wow, how's Drew going to overcome this? I mean, Drew's a big guy, but Strowman's a beast and all that. And I know Strowman had a shitty run as Universal Champion last year, but I feel like you could rebuild him as a heel and maybe have another go at him again. And then have this match between McIntyre and Strowman. Give us like 14-15 minutes, just letting them beat the crap out of each other, do some wild moves to each other. But then Drew McIntyre hits 3 Claymore kicks to finally put the monster down to retain the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And then the post-match. What's going to happen? The post-match is Drew celebrating. Sheamus is going to run into the ring, hit Drew McIntyre with the bro kick, and then Sheamus can destroy Drew McIntyre, finally turn heel on him. And that's another match I considered for this show as well, McIntyre versus Sheamus. But then I thought about it and I thought, is McIntyre versus Sheamus really a WrestleMania level WWE title match? And I thought, not really. For me, that feels like more of a post WrestleMania feud for like Money in the Bank and Backlash and stuff like that. So have that. Sheamus finally turns heel on Drew McIntyre, just absolutely destroys the shit out of him, and then just leaves Drew McIntyre lane. Maybe even McIntyre has to get stretched out. I don't know. You could do that. And then you have that big heel turn. But if the WWE title match is not the main event for night 1 of WrestleMania, what is? And for me, it's going to be Final Battle, Edge, Randy Orton, number 3, this time in an I Quit match. Now, I think if this match happens at a WrestleMania, it has to main event, and I feel like this match has to happen because there has to be a conclusion to the Edge story. So of course, this was a match last year at WrestleMania, last man standing match, and then they had the quote unquote greatest wrestling match ever at Backlash, and then it's 1-1. And I'm pretty sure this was going to culminate at SummerSlam, but of course Edge got injured in that match and he hasn't come back since then. And I just feel like, I think Edge will be back pretty soon. He might even show up at the Royal Rumble, I don't know. I think he will show up at the Royal Rumble in some form or fashion. Maybe not in the Rumble match itself, but I think he's got to finish the rivalry with Orton, and that's got to happen at WrestleMania, because this won't do as an Elimination Chamber match or a fucking Fastlane match. This has got to happen at WrestleMania. And then I thought of adding a stipulation on it, and the first thing I thought was Hell in a Cell, but then I thought, do I really want to say another Hell in a Cell after we had 3 Hell in a Cell matches this October? So I just thought, no, I won't do that. Then I thought, maybe do a last man standing match, but then my brain started working. I thought, oh yeah, they had a last man standing match last year at WrestleMania, didn't they? So I thought, there's no point in doing a second last man standing match at WrestleMania, is there? So I thought, what could I do? What stipulation could I add into this match? And I thought, yeah, I Quit. That would work, wouldn't it? That's kind of Ultimate Feud ender, because by saying I Quit, you're basically admitting that the other guy's a better man, but you're verbally acknowledging that you quit, you are not as good as your opponent's a better man, and it's kind of like the ultimate humiliation. And I just feel like this would work for that. So Edge can come back around Royal. Yeah, I think he could come back at Royal Rumble, confront Randy Orton, keep going after, but Randy Orton keeps rejecting a rematch. I think then he could put both guys in the Elimination Chamber match, and then maybe Edge sneaks a win over Orton, and then we keep going on. Then maybe Orton has a big match with someone at Fastlane, and then Edge can attack Orton at Fastlane. And then they can finally agree to settle the rivalry once and for all. This is going to be a do or die, the final battle. We're not doing it anymore after this. We're going to settle our differences like men, once and for all, at WrestleMania in an I Quit match. And yeah, I think this match will be fantastic. I mean, because obviously this time we're going to have fans in the arena. I mean, I liked the match last year at WrestleMania, but I didn't think it was amazing. I thought the Backlash match was excellent, despite it clearly not being the greatest wrestling match of all time. But despite that, I thought it was an absolutely excellent one. And I think this one would be the ultimate. This would be an amazing match. I mean, and yeah, I realised there's two guys in the 40s main event in a WrestleMania. And yeah, I could understand if people have a problem with that. But I think in this case it would really work. And then obviously it's going to get down to it. And in this situation, the babyface has got to go over, hasn't he? I mean, Edge has got to finally get his revenge on Orton. He's going to beat him down to the point where Orton says, I quit, and then Edge is a winner. Then, of course, after that, you can move Edge onto other rivalries. I mean, I'm looking at people like AJ Styles and people like that. There's a lot of matches Edge can do in 2021 if he stays fit. Let me say that. If Edge can stay fit and not get injured this year, he could have a pretty damn good run. I'm excited to see some of the matches that Edge could pull off. And that concludes WrestleMania Night 1. Now, how do we follow up Night 1? By going to Night 2. And yeah, let's just get right to it. Again, 8 matches on the main show, 1 pre-show match, and we're going to kick off with the pre-show match. And this time it's going to be a battle royal again, but it's going to be the women's battle royal, which is now going to be, in my eyes, renamed the China Memorial Battle Royal. Now, why did I come up with this one? Well, if you remember the Hall of Fame in 2019 when DX were inducted, it was actually X-Pac, when he was talking about China, suggested this. Why not change the Miss Royal Rumble, no, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal? Because you remember originally it was a Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, but that was caused quite a lot of social media backlash, and it was just the Miss WrestleMania one. So X-Pac said, why not change it to the China Memorial Battle Royal? And I thought, yeah, that's a bloody good idea, that. I love that idea, so let's do it. So yeah, it's going to be basically the same as the men's ones, but obviously it's just China Memorial instead of under the Giant Memorial, and the participants are going to be, and we've got 20 women again. We've got Alexa Bliss, Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Peyton Royce, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Reckoning aka Mia Yim, Naomi, Bayley, Sonya Deville, Carmella, Natalia, Mickie James, Tamina. Then we've got to round out with some NXT people. Mercedes Martinez, Raquel Gonzalez, Kaylee Gray, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Ember Moon. So as you can see from that, Bayley's the biggest one not on the main card, and it was so hard to leave her off. But there's one particular match that I really want to do, and I think WWE is going to do it too. And unfortunately for Bayley, she's just a casualty for that, really. I mean, there's not a lot to say about this. It's a battle royal, it is what it is, and we are going to have, because obviously she's easily the biggest star in this, we're going to have Bayley win the Battle Royal, because no one else really makes sense to it, and you can have her maybe eliminate Nikki Cross last, because why the hell not? So Bayley can be the first winner of the China Memorial Battle Royal. And now we're going to get into the main card, and we're going to start off with WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and they're going to face the Riot Squad, because I thought, you know what, why not? I think the Riot Squad are doing quite well, and I just think they need that little tiny push to get themselves over. I mean, by all accounts, pretty much everyone in the WWE locker room loves Liv Morgan. I mean, she's done well from going to be really nobody to, she's improved a lot, hasn't she? I mean, and I just think she's still quite young. I think she's about 26 or something like that, and so I just feel like she's definitely got the talent to, if she keeps pushing herself, she can definitely get higher up on the card. And I think her and Ruby Riott work really well together, so I feel like this would be a good fit. Because there's not a lot of tag teams in the women's tag team division, really. You know, so I feel like these would be perfectly fine. I didn't really want to bring anyone else in, like Trish Stratus or Elite or anyone like that. I didn't really want to do that, and I did think about maybe having the winner of the Women's Dusty Classic get the tag team title shot here, but I don't know who that's going to be, so I just thought, no, let's just let Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan do it. And I feel like put the belts back on Shayna and Nia Jax, because they do kind of work. I think they do kind of have that interesting dynamic together, and I think at least we should have Nia Jax, at least it's given Shayna Baszler something good to do in the main roster, because let's face it, a main roster has been kind of terrible, hasn't it, really? Apart from the Becky Lynch feud. And yeah, I think they just somehow work together. It's pretty good. I mean, this will be a pretty solid opener, I think. It was nothing too exciting, but I think it'll be a pretty good opener. And I think you're gonna go with Nia and Shayna to retain. I think let the Riot Squad have a good fight, but have them ultimately come up just a little bit short, and then maybe you could have them chase Nia and Shayna for the rest of the year, and maybe get a women's tag team title runs down the line. So now we're going to have for the Raw Tag Team Championships now, the Hurt Business taking on the team of Ricochet and Aleister Black. Now this is a very hard match to boot as well, because the Raw Tag Team division is kind of crap, isn't it, to be honest. The only one I do not want to see them face New Day ever again. I think we've seen enough Hurt Businesses versus New Day matches to last us a lifetime. That I didn't really want to do the Miz and John Morrison, because that's two heel teams. That doesn't really work. Then I was looking at it and I thought, well, Ricochet's doing nothing really. It'll be nice to make Ricochet relevant again and have him do something. Then I thought of another guy who's on the WWE roster but hasn't done anything for months. He's not actually injured, so it's just creative, don't have any ideas for him, and that's Aleister Black. And I know Aleister Black's on Smackdown, but you could easily just say his contract expired and have him show up on Raw, or hell, just have him show up on Raw and have no explanation, because that's probably what WWE would do anyway. And obviously there's a history of them as a team. I mean, they won the Dusty Classic a couple of years ago. Was that 19, I think it was? I think it was 2019. And obviously they started on the main roster as a tag team for a little while. Even was part of a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania 35, I believe. Yeah, 35, yeah, that's right. And yeah, I think, because Aleister Black, I mean, understandably he's not doing it. I think understandably he's probably not in the best mood of WWE right now, because WWE were complete pieces of shit and fired his wife for daring to stand up for herself, fucking scumbags. So if I was Aleister Black, I'd be understandably fuming with WWE right now, but he's still got to earn money and all that, so he's pretty much reluctantly still under contract. So yeah, you could start Ricochet doing a thing with the Hurt Business, make it clear that Ricochet is outnumbered, and then at one point Aleister Black would run out and save him. Then you could have Aleister Black and Ricochet chase the Hurt Business, go into WrestleMania, because I do love the Hurt Business as a tag team. I think it's awesome now that Shelton Benjamin's doing stuff again. I mean, Benjamin's been back on the WWE roster for, was it 17 he came back? I think he came back in 2017, I'm pretty sure it was. And he hasn't really done much, and I think it's just great that this awesome veteran like Shelton Benjamin starting getting relevant again, and it's finally gives Cedric Alexander something interesting on the main roster, because obviously Alexander had that great run on 205 Live, and then since he was drafted back to the main roster, he's kind of just a generic babyface, not doing much. And I think put him in the Hurt Business has been great, and teaming with Shelton Benjamin as well, just a chance to learn from Shelton Benjamin, and they made a great team. And this could, I think if this happened in real life, it could actually be a really nice gem. I really do feel like this would be a pretty damn good match. But we're going to have the Hurt Business to go over and retain the Raw Tag Team titles. But now we're going to have one cinematic match on this show, and I'm not entirely sure where it's going to be. I'm thinking it's probably going to be, wait, this is going to be a spoiler, but we're going to have it like in kind of the Hardy compound, but obviously you can just do it in Jeff Hardy's house, and that's going to be Jeff Hardy facing the Fiend 1-on-1. I thought about a Firefly Funhouse match, but I just don't know how they could top the one they did last year with John Cena. So I thought, do this in a style of the Ultimate Deletion matches and all, but don't call it that, just call it something else. But you could pretty much do it similar to that, but I'll just have it as this damn wicked fight in Jeff Hardy's front garden, because pretty sure they can't get sued for doing that type thing. So, and I know Matt's done one in AEW, and obviously this became famous in TNA a few years ago. But yeah, just like, first, what is Jeff Hardy doing right now? I mean, he was doing quite well for himself on SmackDown, then he got drafted to Raw, and he's just been feuding with Elias for months and months and months, and nobody really gives a shit about him. I just feel like he's lost total steam, and I feel like doing The Fiend and doing Jeff Hardy, those are two great characters you could put together and have a interesting storyline, because obviously Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy had the thing a few years ago, but I feel like Jeff Hardy and The Fiend would work together just so much better. And I know that obviously there's going to be a big crowd this year, but I feel like you can have one cinematic match and it'd be pretty cool. And I think these would be the two perfect guys to go with it. So you could just do it like in the compound, like Ultimate Deletion style match where there's all this crazy wacky shit and all that, and you could pretty much just go all out to make it as ridiculous as possible and just make it entertaining as shit. Then you could have The Fiend go over to defeat Jeff Hardy, and then now we're going to have one match and one match only with a Raw versus SmackDown match, and this match is basically made out of not having a clue what to do with either man. And so we're going to have representing Raw AJ Styles representing SmackDown Seth Rollins. So yeah, these are the two hardest guys to come up with something for. I was thinking, to AJ Styles, what do I do with AJ Styles? I just couldn't think of anything interesting for him to do. And then I thought, what can Seth Rollins do on the SmackDown roster right now? Because I don't really see him turning back babyface so soon. And I think you may do in the future. And then I look at the face side. Do I really want to wrestle Kevin Owens again? No, not really. And obviously there's one particular babyface in the SmackDown roster who I feel I've got another plan for, which you probably know exactly what I'm talking about here. I thought, yeah, just put them together then. Just have them wrestle each other. AJ Styles, Seth Rollins. Just have a great wrestling match at WrestleMania. Why the hell not? So yeah, can't really think of a way for this feud to go down. You could maybe make them have a confrontation at the Royal Rumble and all that. Just maybe they could have jabs at each other on social media, and then they can have one of them talk to WWE officials to sanction this Raw versus SmackDown match. So you could pretty much kind of turn AJ Styles back babyface for this one, but maybe not go all the way in it, because I think if you did this, I think AJ Styles would definitely be more of the face in this one, because AJ's been a heel for a couple of years now. You could definitely turn him back face for a little bit, and if that didn't work, you could just turn him back heel, whatever. So yeah, this could basically just be a wrestling match. So just sells the fact that these are two of the best wrestlers in the world, and this is going to be a fantastic wrestling match. And these two guys have always wanted to wrestle each other on the grandest stage at WrestleMania. And yeah, just give them like 20-25 minutes to do this stuff. I mean, looking at both cards, this could be the best match of both cards if they did it like this. Just let them go out, do the thing, show them how good that they are and all that. Just let them have a great wrestling match, and then you could have AJ Styles defeat Seth Rollins. Now we got 4 more matches to go, and one of them is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and that's Sasha Banks defended against Bianca Belair. I mean, this is a match I'm really, really hoping they do in real life, and I think that they will, but this is the match I really want to see. I think this match could be fucking fantastic if they did this in real life. So for this one, we're going to have, and I'll talk about this more when I do a Royal Rumble preview / predictions video. We're going to have Bianca Belair win the Women's Royal Rumble, the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble. They get a title shot at WrestleMania against whoever she wants. And obviously she's going to pick Sasha, because you can say like Bianca looked up at Sasha Banks when Sasha Banks was coming up through NXT and all that. Bianca Belair thought this is someone who could be a role model for her, someone she could be like. And now she wants to see if she really is the EST of the WWE. Is she really the best? And to be the best, she's got to beat the best, and that's got to be Sasha Banks. Then you could not turn a heel, but have her be a bit more cocky. Say, you know what, sister? You whip behind the ears. I've been here all these years. I am the boss. And I've worked so hard to get to be SmackDown Women's Champion, to go into WrestleMania as champion, and there's no way you're beating me. And obviously by that, we're going to have Sasha actually have a proper SmackDown Women's title reign and go into WrestleMania 37 as a SmackDown Women's Champion. So It could be a feud about respect, but you could have Sasha Banks be a bit more cocky of the two. And yeah, I think this could be an awesome match if it happened. Because I think this will happen. I'm pretty confident this will be the WrestleMania match, and if it is, I'm pretty damn excited to see it. And yeah, I think this match will be great. I think it'll be an excellent match. I think Sasha Banks will work really, really hard, and Bianca Belair, she's just getting better and better and better. And I feel like finally WWE realised what they've got on her. So give these about 14, 15 minutes, whatever. Have Bianca Belair defeat Sasha Banks to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. So we're going to have 2 women's title changes on this WrestleMania overall. Then we're going to go for the Intercontinental title, fatal 4-way match. Big E defending against Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura and Apollo Crews. Now, obviously the big thing about Nakamura at the minute, people are big enough to be a main event guy, and I don't think he necessarily needs to be a main event guy. Do I think he deserves a decent push? Yeah, absolutely. But there's no way he's going to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns, is he? I think if you push him as a babyface and push him on the upper mid-card role again, that'll be totally fine. And now is Cesaro starting to get a push? I mean, he beat Daniel Bryan 2 weeks ago, beat Dolph Ziggler this week, but I'm not getting excited over this WWE pushing Cesaro. I feel like it's been there way too many times now. Originally, I thought about just doing Nakamura versus Cesaro one-on-one, but then I thought, do I have an opponent for Big E? Not really. So I thought, well, let's put them both against Big E. But then I thought, well, Apollo Crews is looking quite interesting lately, isn't he? It looks like they're kind of pushing him of being sort of aligned with Reigns and Heyman, and that could be really interesting in his career. So I thought, yeah, let's just chuck Apollo Crews in there as well and have ourselves a little bit of a 4-way. Just to make 2 interesting matches into 1 interesting match. Yeah, I think this would really work. I think like you've got I think you could have Cesaro and Nakamura feuding between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and then they get put into this match together. I feel like maybe Nakamura could be Roman Reigns' Fastlane opponent to just give Roman Reigns one last big title defense before WrestleMania. You could have Nakamura look strong but come up short, and then you've got this match. And I think Big E's doing alright as Intercontinental Champion, but I think his singles push hasn't quite clicked for me yet, and I'm hoping in 2021 is going to be a big year for him. I think you've got to look at him and Reigns as a big feud, and maybe in the summer that'll be pretty good. So this could be kind of like that 10-minute match where they do a lot of fast-paced spots and all that, and then you know Big E retain. You could have him pin Apollo Crews to retain the Intercontinental title, then the match before the main event. And if they do this match in real life, it would be pretty awesome. I don't think they will, but I would absolutely 100% love to see it, and that is Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee one-on-one. Now, because I think Brock Lesnar probably is coming back for WrestleMania. I just can't imagine Vince wanting a WrestleMania without Brock Lesnar. And yes, I know Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen since WrestleMania last year, but money talks, you know. When push comes to shove, Vince will always come up with the money to get Brock Lesnar back. And if I get Brock Lesnar back, I didn't really want to see him back in the WWE title picture so soon. I feel like you could give him a WWE title shot later on, but not right now. And I've heard people say they want to see Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, but I just don't want to see that match again. I feel like I've had me fill Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and I especially don't want to see it for a 3rd WrestleMania. I just feel like you could do Lesnar versus Reigns maybe another time at some point in the future, but I just don't want to see it right now. And I thought, what could be a match for Brock Lesnar? So I thought, because I assume he's going to stay on Raw, and to be fair, that would work perfectly for me. I mean, you could have him and manage Lesnar on Raw, then manage him on SmackDown. Because if you remember, about 7-8 years ago, Paul Heyman was managing both CM Punk and Brock Lesnar at the same time, but then he managed CM Punk in a completely different way to the way he managed Brock Lesnar, and it was great. And I felt like he could have that dynamic once again with Heyman obviously doing his stick with Lesnar and then doing his stick with Reigns. I think it'd be great. And then Keith Lee. I also considered maybe Keith Lee challenging Drew for WrestleMania, but McIntyre beat Lee clean a few weeks ago, and I just don't think they're going to go in that direction. But I thought, put him with Brock, they're pretty damn good. I mean, Keith Lee's got the size and athleticism to be a believable threat to Brock. I mean, because obviously Keith Lee's bigger than Brock Lesnar, he's younger than Brock Lesnar, so this could be really good. So this is what I would do. Have Brock Lesnar come back as maybe number 5 in the Royal Rumble. Have him clear the ring. Kind of do what he did last year, but do it for a much longer amount of time. Maybe get him up to like maybe 6, 7, 8 and 9. So you can eliminate all those guys, and then Keith Lee can come out as number 10. Lee and Brock Lesnar have a big showdown. Keith Lee can pounce Brock Lesnar over the top rope, and Keith Lee can eliminate Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble. And I know that's how they started the Lesnar and McIntyre feud last year, but I feel like you could go back to that well again, and it would work pretty good now. I mean, I do think that. Obviously, after that, Keith Lee can get cocky about it, and him and Paul Heyman could do some stuff, and they said Brock Lesnar's coming back. Then you could have like a couple of confrontations between Lesnar and Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee, and then you could have the Fastlane match be Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee. Then Brock Lesnar can cost Keith Lee the WWE Championship. Then that could prompt Keith Lee to challenge Brock Lesnar to a fight at WrestleMania. Yeah, and this could just be that Hoss fight, couldn't it? I mean, let's face it, Brock Lesnar not do long matches, so this could be 7-8 minutes where Lesnar and Lee just trade these big moves, big suplexes and all that, and just really whack the crap out of each other. And then I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar to go over, because like Goldberg, just being realistic, Lesnar's not going to lose all the time. I feel like you can't really have Brock Lesnar lose all the time. I think you've got to keep Brock Lesnar's losses special and all that. And I feel like, I don't think Keith Lee would be that buried by getting beat up Brock Lesnar. If he puts up a good enough fight, let me say that. We don't want a Ricochet situation where do you remember when Ricochet didn't get a single bit of offense in, and Brock Lesnar just completely squashed him in this with a Super Showdown or Crown Jewel. I can't remember which one it was. Must have been Super Showdown last year. So we don't want that. So if Keith Lee looks competitive enough, maybe comes close to beating Brock Lesnar a couple of times, but then Lesnar ultimately wins out, now I think that is totally fine for Lesnar to win. And then the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania, and I would consider this the main event of the entire weekend, and that's Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. For me, this is a match to do. I mean, because obviously there's not that many big stars in wrestling anymore. There's very few big matches left to do in WWE. Especially if you don't go for part-time talent such as Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and people like that. There's very few left, but there is one left. It's really has never been overexposed, and it will be great to see. And that's Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. Now, in the history, they had one pay-per-view match, and that was a Fastlane 2015. But then, of course, Daniel Bryan retired after that, and then the paths have just never crossed. And it looked like they were going for the Bryan versus Reigns feud in 2019, if you remember, when the whole who tried to was it who attacked Roman Reigns and all that, but then it was looked like it was going to be Daniel Bryan, but then it was Eric Rowan, but I always assumed that was going to be a swerve. I always thought Bryan was going to swerve turn on Reigns, but that never happened. And then Daniel Bryan actually turned back babyface real, and now here we are. Now we're in a position to do it. Because if you think about it, because let's face it, let's just be honest, The Rock isn't working this WrestleMania, guys. That's just not going to happen. I mean, yes, I would love to see it, but it's not going to happen. So, what else is he for Reigns on the Smackdown roster? There's not really anyone left, is he? Except one man, Daniel Bryan. And now, obviously, you don't have to worry about Roman Reigns getting booed, because Roman Reigns is a heel now, and Roman Reigns is actually supposed to be getting booed now, so it's great to dislike Roman Reigns now, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, for the purpose of this, and I think this will happen in real life, but I'll go more in depth when I do WrestleMania previews / predictions video, Royal Rumble previews / predictions video, excuse me. I think Daniel Bryan's finally going to win his Royal Rumble, and no, we're not blathered on about 7 years ago and all that. So after all these years of fans clamouring for it and all that, and let's face it, there was a lot of controversy when he did it in 2014, and 2015. So Daniel Bryan's finally going to win his Royal Rumble for the first time in his career, and then he's going to go on to start this big feud with Roman Reigns. And I think this will work because you've got Roman Reigns is just the best heel WWE's had in God knows how long. Years. Easily years. Honestly, I can't think of the top of the last time WWE had such a strong, great heel like they've got in Roman Reigns right now. And it's just great to see that they're finally doing what we wanted with Roman Reigns. I mean, we all wanted Roman Reigns to have a heel run years ago, and now they finally do it, and it's just been outstanding, hasn't it? It's been some of the best TV we've ever seen. I mean, Roman Reigns is just absolutely on fire right now as a heel, and I think he finally is the top guy that WWE always wanted him to be. I mean, they tried for years and years and years to anoint him as a babyface, didn't he? And it just never truly worked. And now he's turned heel here, and it seems like he's finally where they want him to be, as the guy. I mean, and he is the guy right now. And then you've got the ultimate babyface and Daniel Bryan. And yes, I know Bryan's not as hot as he was back in like 2014, 2013, but he's still really, really over. And yeah, I just feel like this is the match to do. You build up to these two guys having the match. You could maybe even do it so Adam Pearce bans all outside interference, so there'll be no Paul Heyman, there'll be no Jey Uso. So do it so right. We're going to have a one-on-one match where no interference. We are going to see who the better man is and all that. And I just feel like the promos and the build-up of this one could be outstanding if WWE just lets them cut their own shit and all that. And the thing is, because Daniel Bryan's talking about this is probably going to be the year he's going to go part-time, because I think his contract's up this year and he's not looking to be a full-time wrestler anymore. But I think his goal now is to switch to a part-time contract, because now he's going to be 40 next year. He's got 2 kids, and of course, let's face it, he's very lucky he still have his career, because he was forced to retire once, and so he's done really well to last this long up to his late 30s and still have a career. So, and I think that's a great move from right now, because he wrestles maybe 4, 5, 6 matches a year, just on select pay-per-views. And I think he could prolong his career, maybe do another 3 or 4 or 5 years just doing that. And also now, from what I understand, Daniel Bryan's getting on the creative team, so now he's starting to build a post-in-ring career for himself. So yeah, and so this could be kind of Daniel Bryan's last match as a full-time performer. And who'd have thought? Not only could Bryan main event one WrestleMania, now he can potentially main event another. And yeah, I think this match would be fire. I mean, I really, really do. I feel like we're definitely looking at a match of the year contender right here. I feel this match would be absolutely outstanding. Just give them as much. If they want to go 30 minutes, let them do that, because these two guys deserve to have as much time as they want to have. Because I think on these wrestle, because these are going to be 3-hour shows by the sounds of it, which is just great. So the crowd will, because I think one of the biggest problems with the really long WrestleMania that I've noticed, and I think this was especially true at 35, just by the time we got to the main event, the crowd was just burnt out and just tired of all the action, all they've seen all night, because including pre-shows, we were getting to like 6-7 hour shows, and like, who the hell wants that? So by the time the main events was coming around, fans were drained and they were not into it like they should be. Now obviously this won't be a problem anymore if they do 2 shorter shows, and God, this match would be fantastic. And as far as a winner, I bet a lot of people would think I was going to go with Daniel Bryan to go over, don't you? However, you would be wrong. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns to defeat Daniel Bryan, because like I say, at this point Daniel Bryan does not need to be WWE champion, because Daniel Bryan's looking, now he's in the beginning of the end of his career. He doesn't need to be that guy anymore. And I just feel if Roman would just keep this going, don't even think about taking the belt off Roman Reigns at this point. Just do it. They've got a great thing here at WWE, so I'll say just keep going with it. Keep running with it. Keep running for it as long as possible. For me, I would say a SummerSlam this year is probably a target date for Roman Reigns to lose the title. But if he's still hot by the summer, why not keep it on him? Who knows? But for this one, I would definitely have Roman Reigns go over, and I'll have him go over clean as well. Have him beat Daniel Bryan clean to look like a strong champion, get the big clean win at WrestleMania, and then close out WrestleMania holding the belt and looking smug and cocky and all that. And I think that'd be a great way to end WrestleMania 37. So there you go, guys. Nearly an hour video. Thanks for watching, guys. I mean, what are your guys' ideas for matches for WrestleMania this year? Post them in the comment section below. And obviously, so update later this week. We're going to have so probably either Thursday or Friday. We're going to have Royal Rumble preview / predictions. That's going to be our audio form as well. And if you remember a little community post the other week, I was talking about doing television shows like old Raw, Smackdowns, Nitros, and all that. And just to put this out there, I'm also willing to do like maybe a random episode of Dynamite over the last couple of years, or one of the NXT on USA shows. So I am open to doing those. But that is going to start this week. And the one I'm going to go with, and it was one of the suggestions in the comment section, and that one is going to be, I'm going to go with Raw is War, February 7th, 2000, with the main event of Triple H, X-Pac and the Radicals versus The Rock, Cactus Jack, Too Cool and Rikishi. That's going to be the first one. Then I've also got in mind, I'm going to do the March 3rd, 1997 edition of Raw. That was one with Davey Boy and Owen on there. So look out for those. And like I say, guys, if you've got any suggestions about shows to do, pop them in the comment section below. And that's it, guys. And then until next time, peace.